SportsBeat is brought to you by Ken Garth. We hear you.
Hope you enjoyed the race. SportsBeat is live. JJ and Sam with you for the next half hour. The NBA is back. We'll dig into what a return will look like and reaction from Dennis Lindsay.
A state champion is crowned, sort of, right? We'll have highlights from the Last Chance tournament in baseball and a hometown hero. Olympic gold medalist Natalie Williams chats with Thurl Bailey on SportsBeat tonight. But
we start with a headline I never thought I would have to read. Utah defensive coordinator Morgan Scalley has been suspended by athletic director Mark Harlan for a text he sent in 2013 that contained racist language. Harlan became aware of this text after a social media post brought it to light on Wednesday. Harlan said in a statement that Coach Scalley was very contrite and acknowledged that the text was sent and it did include a derogatory and painful word. An outside firm will review the matter to seek further details and determine whether this was an isolated incident. Coach Scalley issued this statement on Friday in 2013. I made a terrible mistake. I used a racial slur in a text message. This language is offensive and hurtful to not only the African American community, but to all. Immediately after sending it, I apologized to the recipient and his family. Morgan went on to say that I am truly sorry and I own up to the hurtful effects of my choice. Through my actions and words going forward, I will demonstrate that my use of that slur in 2013 does not reflect or define who I am or what I stand for. My action is indefensible, and I will use my voice and position to bring about meaningful and much-needed change. Kyle Whittingham also issued a statement saying he was disappointed and shocked. I take very seriously the hurt, pain, and anger felt by African Americans and the power of words to inflict or deepen that pain. Although this incident is inconsistent with the character and conduct of the person I have known and worked closely with for more than 2 decades, Morgan's use of racist language is a very serious matter, and I am supportive of the suspension while a more thorough outside review is conducted.
Well, there have been several reactions from current and former players. A lot of support for Scalley. Recently drafted Rams defensive back Terrell Burgess tweeted, Scalley's a great coach, but an even better human being. This man may be a lot of things like hard-nosed and loud, but one thing for sure, he isn't racist. Former Ute and NFL defensive lineman Derek Shelby tweeted, while I don't agree with the language, Morgan Scalley is a good man who made a mistake. Emotions are high, so right now isn't the time for a trial via Twitter. But there have also been messages that are not as supportive for Scalley. Ryan Lacey, a 2-year starter at the U at cornerback, posted, I was a victim of his blatant racial slurs in 2008 as a freshman. I confronted that man my senior year, 2013, in front of my teammates. Received a not-so-sincere apology, more of an excuse. And former Utes DB Sean Smith posted saying, wow, I knew it. See, the truth always comes out. And my teammates know what's up. Let's see if Scalley is going to speak up and be honest. You can read several more responses from players at KSLSports.com.
Here's play right there. Splits the defender out front, drives inside. Joe the rebound.
Yeah, Jazz forward Joe Ingles, he said in his podcast earlier that it feels like they've already been in the offseason. Well, it's time to dust off those sneakers, Joe, because the NBA has approved its plan that will allow the season to resume more than 4 months after the coronavirus put a halt on basketball and the entire sporting world for that matter. The approved plan is for 22 teams to resume playing games on July 31st. Players from the 22 teams, the top 8 in each conference, plus the next 6 total teams that are within 6 games of the 8th seed, they will report to team facilities for training camp on June 30th. Then those 22 teams will head to Orlando on July 7th to continue training and go through coronavirus screenings and testings leading up to the resumption of play on the 31st. There will be 8 regular season games played per team over a 2-week period. The top 8 from each conference will advance to the playoffs. Now, if the 9th team is within 4 games of that 8th spot, then the 8th and 9th teams will play to earn the 8th seed. Game 7 of the NBA Finals would be no later than October 12th. So here we go, JJ. We've been waiting for it. Now we know it's coming back finally.
Sam, I love it. I think the NBA really got this right. I'm impressed that they were able to pull it off. And I have to give credit to Adam Silver to make this happen. And really quickly, when you think about it, with being able to get everything in order, being able to nail down Orlando as a site, to have all this work out, to have testing in place, all these things that had to come together for us to have basketball again on July 31st, I don't think you could ask for a better plan. And the fact that he got the Board of Governors and the players to agree on something
Right.
in such a short period of time was pretty impressive.
Yeah, no doubt. It's very well planned, very well prepared. It had to happen now, really. It couldn't have waited much longer, right? The NBA here, Jeremiah, is setting the standard for sports as we see other leagues, notably the Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I know what league you're talking about.
Yeah, really struggling to try to get a plan together. But the NBA, as you mentioned, Commissioner Silver, they've really put together a solid plan.
Yeah, you see what MLB has done, and you really have to applaud the NBA. This not official yet. The schedule's not official, but this is what we know. The remainder of the regular season will last 16 days with 5 to 6 games played per day at 3 different facilities in Orlando. I think it'll feel like Summer League. Playoff position will be determined by winning percentage and not one-loss record, since not all teams will have played the same number of games. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Jazz Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations, Dennis Lindsay, he issued a statement that said in part, quote, "While our society faces important issues that certainly eclipse basketball, the entire Jazz organization looks forward to getting back on the court and continuing its playoff push. While we regret not playing in front of our tremendous fans, we are grateful for their loyal support and know they will be behind us." That's interesting. He mentioned the fans because obviously, as we know, there won't be any down there.
Yeah, but you know what? It's interesting. How are the Jazz going to look now? Sam, I don't know who the Jazz were when we suspended play, so I'm really not sure what we're going to see from them when they come back. And Boyan's not going to be there. But just the fact that we're going to be able to get NBA basketball again and the Jazz are going to have a shot. What I like about the Jazz chances is we know that they can play defense. If they resort back to the way they used to play defense, I think they got a chance to make a run in this tournament.
Yeah, and you talked about how it's going to be based off of the winning percentages here for playoff positioning. I'm interested to see if there's going to be any strategic, I don't want to say throwing in the towel on games, but there is no home court advantage, right? So maybe you look ahead to what your potential playoff matchups will be. As of right now, the Jazz would be going up against Oklahoma City. I'm not saying they're going to try to lose or anything, but if they shuffled it around, a first and second round matchup could be completely different without the worry of a home court advantage in the playoffs.
I think you're onto something there. I think without the home court advantage, matchups are going to be everything in this scenario. So that is something that would be interesting to look out for. The NBA Draft Lottery has been rescheduled for August 25th. The NBA Draft will be on October 15th, and free agency will now begin on October 18th. October is going to be crazy. The NBA lottery order will be based off the standings as of March 11th, so games in Orlando will not impact the lottery order. Now, Sam, I think one thing we haven't touched on is what is the negative in all this? Do you see any negatives? The negative I see for the Jazz, you touched on a little bit, no home court advantage. I think the Jazz have one of the best home court advantages in the NBA. They're not going to have that in this scenario, especially in the playoffs down in Orlando, so I think that hurts the Jazz.
And I think one of the negatives throughout the rest of the league, what about all of these teams that aren't, the other teams, the 8 teams that aren't going to Orlando, right? They're going to be going almost 9 months before they play a game. Obviously, there's conversations about them putting together some sort of, almost like a summer league, some sort of play where they can scrimmage and get some action. And then for the teams that are in the playoffs, how short is the gap going to be between when they just finished the playoffs to when they're starting up a new season? It's going to be interesting to see those finalized dates as to when the next season begins.
Definitely a new NBA world we're about to enter into.
Kidding.
Okay, today marks the 6th anniversary of the Utah Jazz hiring Quinn Snyder as their head coach. 6 years later, it's clear that hire was a home run. Quinn took on a new responsibility this week. The NBA Coaches Association has formed a committee to combat racism and police brutality, and Quinn has been selected to be on that committee, which will work with local leaders and law enforcement agencies to create positive change in NBA communities. He shared his thoughts on the Woj Pod on ESPN.com this week.
You know, this is not just a black problem. That's one of the things I continue to hear and understand that you know, this is, in some ways, this is a white problem. And that sustainability, those partnerships, it's necessary for white people to listen. It's also about being willing to have that dialogue, to be transparent, to be honest with yourself. And ultimately, I think as a white man, what I was hearing was we need help. I can't understand on a certain level, just experientially, what Lloyd has been through, what Fizz has been through, and some of the experiences that they've had. They just haven't happened to me. But that doesn't mean that they're not real to me. And my path is different. And there's nothing wrong with that, I think, to understand that, to accept that. That doesn't mean you can't help impact change.
Yeah, important conversations beginning to happen in the NBA. Well, the Last Chance tournament is crowning some champions today. In 6A baseball, Riverton taking on American Fork. Riverton needing 2 wins to jump out to a 7-0 lead, but AF storms back. Easton Jones drives in the tying run in the 5th. 7-7, still tied at 7 on the top of the 6th. Look at this catch by Jackson Walker. Dives and grabs it. Incredible grab there. And the Cavemen, they take the lead on a hit batter. Riverton down to its last chance, but the ground out. AF gets the win, 8-7. They claim the Last Chance tournament title.
Timpanogos beat Salem Hills this morning to force a second and decisive 5A championship game. T-Wolves down 1 run, bottom of the 5th, 2 out, 2 on base. Senior Dylan Winger steps up. Belts hit a 2-run double. And the Timberwolves go on to win this 9-8. They are the 5A champions of the Last Chance tournament.
Alone on the move.
Oh, good memories. Up next, a little nostalgia. This day in Jazz history takes us back to Game 3 of the 1997 NBA Finals, and we also take a look back at the best playoff moments in Utah Jazz history.
Well, the fact that we can take a look back at Utah Jazz playoff history in the month of June, that's a great thing, right? Because it means they've been to the finals before. Today, we dig into the archives. June 6th, 1997. This was Game 3 of the franchise's first appearance in the NBA Finals, and it was their first ever win in a final series. The Jazz down 2-0, and that season's MVP, Karl Malone, had an MVP performance. Made 15 of 29 field goals and was 7 of 10 from the free throw line for a game-high 37 points and 10 rebounds. John Stockton dished out 12 assists, had 17 points, and Greg Foster, he was a difference maker. Off the bench, scoring 17 points and breathing new life into the Jazz with a 104-93 win. Now, with the NBA's format to return to play with 22 teams in Orlando, that means the Jazz, they've officially clinched a playoff spot.
Yay!
Yeah, no kidding, something to celebrate. It's a unique postseason. We'll certainly be creating some unique Utah Jazz playoff memories.
Before new playoff moments are made, though, we wanted to take a look back at some of the great postseason moments in Utah Jazz history on this week's Jazz Rewind.
Here at McNichols Arena tonight, Doug Moe's Denver Nuggets are just 1 game away from closing out the season for the Utah Jazz.
I think they realize the importance of it. They don't want to go back to Salt Lake.
But I know we're going to win. I know we're going to bust out tonight. All right? I know we're going to bust out tonight.
To the base left, spin it back to Ricky, to Griff, 3-pointer, no. Base right to throw, shot up, yes! The Jazz take the lead. Back to Carter, 3-pointer from angle left. That's no good, air ball right in the hands of Danley. 2 seconds, 1, she's history. The Jazz have won it.
For the first time in franchise history, the Jazz headed to the locker room as divisional champions.
We just started to believe in ourselves, and we started winning games that we normally didn't win. And it just started to get to the point that we're good, we can play. And we go to the Lakers, and we can beat you. Boston come in town, we can beat you.
A lot of us started to finally believe that maybe we could be a good team.
I hope that I can help the team out as much as they think I'm going to.
Right hook by Elijah one.
Hey, we got to get this on camera.
A lot of people probably hadn't heard about it, but they know it now. And I make another promise. We're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the future.
Right side of the mailman. Well done.
This views in the league. Good night. Sloan's gone. What a bounce back. Thread the needle. On to the finish.
Banana, watch the hit right there. It's a 23-footer. Shot in this quarter. And you like close. Never seen this kind of emotion from Stockton.
We never had a playoff game like this.
Maybe the last chance. He's got it. 50. outside Moser.
You know, this disease is very rare. Seeing her smiling face all the way home on the plane was good enough.
Left corner pitcher fires away. The jumper, good. Darren thinking, drive the middle, pull up, leaping leader. He got it. 2 seconds left. He got it. Jared Williams.
Hayward with 31 now.
Chris was trying to come back.
1 second to shoot. Oh, Hayward flies in to end the third quarter.
Players in their primes will choose what's best for their careers.
And the Chicago Bulls have defeated the Utah Jazz.
This is reverence. We may never see this guy on the basketball court again.
I just see it in the rim, like, oh, please, go.
They want to play, they play hard, and they play together.
Y'all are unbelievable.
Lob, wide open Gobert. Get this rebound. Toughness.
It took everything. You know, we worked hard. You know, we stuck with it. The character of this team is incredible, and we all played well. We all did what we were supposed to do, and everybody came up big.
Can't wait for July 31st. All right, coming up, Thurl Bailey's on SportsBeat. His conversation with Olympic gold medalist and Utah native Natalie Williams.
Natalie Williams is one of the greatest athletes in state history, an Olympic gold medalist and WNBA legend. The Utah native is Thurl Bailey's latest guest on the Thurl Talk podcast. They discuss her life after playing basketball and her foundation that helps girls reach the next level of basketball.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Thurl Talk. Of course, I'm Thurl Bailey, and we have a very exciting guest on today. And this is I'm going to call a young lady because she is a young lady, and I'm very old. 2-time All-WNBA first team, 4-time WNBA All-Star. Natalie Williams, welcome to Thurl Talk.
Thurl, thank you so much. It's great to be here. Appreciate that. It was super nice.
Natalie, I want to talk to you now about post-basketball. I have a feeling we have this kind of a kindred spirit because of how we've decided to use what we've learned in basketball and hopefully help others with an opportunity, and not even just an opportunity to play sports, but to learn from sports and apply that to whatever they decide to do in their lives. So tell me about your basketball program and what you've been doing for the last few years for these young women.
Yeah, well, thank you for allowing me to talk about it. I started coaching the last 2 years that I was playing in the WNBA, and I started coaching and helping out at Skyline High School, and was able to coach with Skyline for, I think it was about 4 years, and in those 4 years helped them get to 2 state championships. Absolutely loved it and knew that that was my next calling, to give back to the community here in Salt Lake City and in Utah. I love coaching. I tell people all the time, coach in my sleep. And it was what I meant to do. And then, having 3 daughters, that was the right avenue, and wanted them to get in the game and just learn so many things from the great things that sports gives you in learning how to handle adversity and learning how to handle conflict and dealing with it, and how to work hard. So I run the Natalie Williams Basketball Academy, and we have ages or grades, third grade, girls and boys, through high school elite. And in the last 2 years, proud that all of my kids have been placed from junior college to Division I, 11 last year and 11 this year again. So I just take a lot of pride in it.
What do you tell them? What do you leave them with?
I think the biggest thing I would say is, one, enjoy the journey, because life, that is exactly what it is. You're going to have hard times. You're going to have great times. You know, don't get too low over the lows and don't get too high on the highs. And be a part of your community. Be a part of your family. You could change someone's life every single day. And just do the best you can. That's all you can ask. We're living in a very interesting time right now.
Aren't we, though?
In many ways. So that's definitely what I would say, is just appreciate everything you have around you and make others around you feel special and loved, and, you know, we'll get through everything together.
Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. We've got a lot more coming your way for SportsBeat tomorrow night as well, after the news at 10.
And I'm going to see you tonight at 10 on the KSL 5 News. Until then, so long, everyone.